Hello everyone, Linda Key here, coming at you from Alexander Street Studios, here on Treaty 7 territory where I feel privileged to live, work, play, create, and learn. Today's special guest is Indigenous artist, actor, musician, teacher, Mr. Benedict Pipestem, to speak with us a little bit about the ceremony of smudge.
Lately I've been trying to find my way to a place where life is more than empty space. Wondering where I belong, just don't fit in, 'cause I choose not to play along, no. Life is on for me. I got a new way, it's a new play. I got a...
So, what we just did was the smudge. Smudging has always been part of the Aboriginal culture since the first peoples, since our ancestors. What I've been told about the smudge is that the smoke is what carries your prayers up to the Creator. And that's what we use to pray. It's our version of, I guess you could say, a praying ritual. And what you did, like washing yourself with the smoke. And they say it cleanses yourself. The elders always told me that it's just like recharging your soul, or recentering yourself, or like, so for example, you smudge in the morning every day and you ask the Creator for a good day. And then you smudge at night. And then you ask Creator, you thank Creator for the day that you had. And then you ask for a good night. And then you start the process over again. So I guess you can say protection doesn't always protect 24/7. You have to put it on every morning.
Yeah, return to the ritual of it.
And take it off every morning at night.
It's like the other rituals that we do when we wake up and before we go to bed. So we can add that to our list of things. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for beginning our session today with that. Welcome everyone to Being Under the Influence. This episode is about the ritual of smudge. And today I have a colleague and friend, Benedict Pipestem, who is a teacher and an artist and many other things. I have more requests of you. May I ask you to do a land acknowledgement for us?
A land acknowledgement?
Please.
Well, the land that we are on right now is known as the Blackfoot Confederacy. And I am a descendant of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the people that made Treaty 7 with the Queen. And I acknowledge that we are on their land. And we are still here. I acknowledge the land itself, all the grandfather rocks, all the life being reborn. I also acknowledge the first thunder, the thunderbirds coming back, the water, the rain, and the life that it brings. I acknowledge all the spirits that watch over us. And finally, I acknowledge Nata, the creator of all of it. See you, Gus.
See you, Gus. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so honored. In terms of acknowledging land, I myself, who comes from an immigrant family, who have made Treaty 7 territory their home. One of the reasons I've invited you here as a guest, and all our guests, is to continue learning and to be to learn how to continue taking care of the land that we are on, and to honor the ancestors, and to understand how we can continue and to become good ancestors for our future generations. So today, I just want the audience to know that I can do many, many more episodes with Benedict and ask him about so many other cultural influences and a lot of what he does, amazing things that he does with his time and his energy. But today we're going to focus on what the ritual we just went through. So when it comes to the smoke and fire, what is the difference between like sage, or if you're burning sweetgrass, or are there other things, other plants that the indigenous cultures here use to smudge, and what is the significance of those?
So when it comes to smudging, it's really just praying. I do know that we're using the word ritual. They also use the word ceremony, practice, a way of healing, a way of connecting. There's a whole bunch of different concepts and different English words they're using to describe. But if I were to really just base it, it's just a way on how you can connect with the creator, or a way on how so like I said earlier, the smoke is what carries your message to the creator, and they say it goes up into the sky, and that's where Nata is. So there's all kinds of stuff that they do use for smudge. There's sage, and there's also buffalo grass, or no, that's known as buffalo grass. And then there's sweetgrass.
Sorry, sage is known as buffalo grass. Got it.
And then there's sweetgrass, and there's also pine. And a couple other things that you can burn with your smudge. As far as I know, you can burn both of them. You can burn all of them. In terms of smudging itself, you do have to inquire rights to do it.
What does that mean?
So it just means inquiring the right to smudge.
And how do you do that? What's the process? What does that look like?
It's just asking. So you ask somebody that has the right to give you the right.
Okay.
So it's kind of a process to find a person that has to do that, that has the rights to do that.
Okay.
And then, but I do know that it's the same way with like just learning anything. It's just you have to ask. You have to find the right people to ask.
Yeah, it's like finding a mentor or the teacher. You're finding your teacher.
Finding a teacher, exactly. So you find the right mentor and you just ask the right questions to inquire what it is that you're after.
Okay, so can you share a bit about your process? When you were a young person, were you told, okay, you need to speak to this person and ask for the rights?
Yeah. In the Sundance, that's pretty much where you can find the people to inquire. So there's different rites, different ceremonies to do different things. Right. So there's these things called naming ceremony, where you inquire your first name. Right. And then you can also inquire many names, actually, as many names as you are able to get. So there's people that have the rights to give names. And then there's people that have the rights to do what they call transfers. And then, so transfer of information. So you have to find one of those people that has the right to transfer the smudging information from them to you.
Right.
And usually, the offering. So you have to bring an offering to that elder when you ask this question. So it could pretty much be any kind of question, but in my experience, just like with pretty much anything, that offering is important because it shows not only to you and to that elder, but the intent. So, the intent of your prayer, or the reason why you pray, so my experience, the reason why I pray is for my family to have a good life. And my grandmother was the one who taught me how to pray. She taught me how to pray through the church, and she also taught me how to pray through the Sundance, through the candle, lighting the candle and praying with the book, or lighting the smudge and praying with the elders. So there's different kinds of rituals and ceremonies, but it's basically that same kind of idea of wishing well for not only yourself, but for the people around you. And really embracing those words that you say, that message that you want that particular smoke or that particular elder or that particular way that you want to pray to reach whatever power is able to give you what you want.
Right. And so it's about intention and being clear with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question for someone like myself who is living on this land, and I have been practicing smudge with and been invited. We were fortunate to meet on a creative project with the Making Treaty 7 Society, and we began our mornings with smudge. So for myself, I have not specifically asked an elder or for that right in the way that I hear you describing it. So how do you think that would work for someone like myself who's not who's not an Indigenous Canadian person, to move forward with this ceremony, or did what happened when we were invited to the circle, in that creative circle with the Making Treaty 7 Society, like, is that ceremony, the way that happens, I guess, is it's okay to practice that way?
As far as I know, you can practice praying in any way that you see fit, because it's your connection to Creator or to yourself that what matters. I do know that just even inquiring permission from somebody to pray. So like one of my elders always says before he prays, you can pray in any language that you want. You can pray in any way that you want. I'm going to pray in my own way. But you can pray in any way that we can ask for anything that you want. And he'll go on to say, I'm going to pray for this. They asked me to pray for this. And so I'm going to pray like that. And then he'll go into he'll start praying. And it's actually where I learn most of my prayer is from him. The prayer that I just said.
I was going to ask about that prayer. I will ask about that prayer, but before we go there, I've always had this question about how we acquire the sweetgrass or the sage. And I was told years ago that it needs to be gifted to you.
Or you can pay for it. And there's different ways of paying.
Okay.
You can go out and pick it, but you still have to pay for it. So you have to bring an offering. So they always say to bring tobacco. And then before you pick it, you always say, all right, I'm gonna pick some sweetgrass, and this is what I offer.
Right.
And then you put it in the ground, and then you start picking the grass.
Okay.
And then for anybody that already did the work, and their whatever profits, like whatever it is that they're asking for, whatever, like back in the day it was trading. You know, you trade.
Right.
That trade some food for some buffalo grass because I ran out of buffalo grass. But today it's money. We use that for trade.
Got you. So that exchange is the same. It
It's
just
the
looks
same.
different for us now.
It's just different.
We just look at money.
Yeah, we just look at
Right.
money, but that money is still offering. Payment is still payment. And you still get whatever you paid for.
Right. Okay.
But it's about, like, you know, looking in the right place. You know, like paying the right people. It's a
right.
You know, the whole business thing. But
Yeah, but like you said, when you harvest it, that's where you lay down to the tobacco.
you still have to make that offering because it's what it gives to you.
Right.
It's what matters, and that's what you're paying for,
Right. What you're giving back.
or what you're offering for, or what you're giving up to gain.
Got you. I would like to ask a final question, and it's about what the concept of this podcast is how we come together and share these rituals and ceremonies as a community in with the intention to connect our communities. So my question to you, Benedict, is as we are moving into reconciliation and decolonization, and we're all moving forward into discovering, our true selves and not just as individuals, but as a collective. When it comes to this ceremony and how people like myself are beginning to engage in this and non-Indigenous people are engaging in this ceremony, what are some things that you'd like to, whether it's some wisdom or some advice, however you like to call it, and something that you'd like to share with everyone, and how you'd like to see this, how would you like to see us as a community move forward together?
Well, I really like that everyone is interested in, like, to me, I really feel like it's just trying to find themselves again, or trying to find ourselves again. Because when I started smudging, when I started praying, that's all I was trying to do. I was so lost in my identity, so lost in what it is that I was, because of everything that I had been taught the past 150 years. And all I did was just find myself. And, you know, as a teacher, all I'm really doing is just holding hands to the people that ask to hold my hand. So it's the same with all teachers. It's the same with all knowledge keepers, all gatekeepers. It's not that they're gatekeepers to keep you from going into the gate. You just have to understand there's procedures, and it's just about asking. Just ask what you want. If you don't know, just ask kindly, ask with intent. You know, if you don't know what to ask what to ask.
Yes, that's so helpful.
It's just, I understand that in practicing it, people practice it because of how they feel. I know I practiced it because of how lost I was and how it made me feel connected with something. I didn't understand what that something was at the moment. It was just learning about that something, learning about what connected all of us. What makes all of us human. What makes, all of us irrational. Makes all of us, crazy. So hyped up with emotion that we can go over the edge. And all I really do is just answer questions that people ask me. And that's all it is. I'm not saying that I know all the answers or anything like that. I do know that I ask these questions. And because I asked these questions, I was able to find the answer. And it's as simple as I can say it, just ask more. I do know that for pretty much anybody, or for pretty much any Indigenous, what I would like to see more, and this is just because I want to see more language. There was 500 languages on this land before everything. There was more languages before that, before everything. So if you really want to be influenced by anything, I'd like you to be influenced by your own language. Submerge yourself in that environment, and you'll learn so much more than I can ever tell you.
I'm so grateful, and I want to connect back to what your answer is just ask. And my response to that, and I'm so glad to be having this platform and having someone like yourself be a guest, is I feel that when we're one of the challenges in this landscape of, and I'm afraid I'm going to say it, of this idea of wokeness. Like, well, I know. It's like there's too much of I know and you should know, right? You should know that you shouldn't use that word anymore. You should know. And I think that is perpetuating our egos in not asking the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And saying, I don't even, what should I ask? That requires us to be vulnerable. And that requires us to be, I think, it takes us all onto the same plane and say, I don't know. Because I think that there's, it's two things, trying to show that we already know, so we're not behind in, where society's moving. And the second thing is I lost my thought. What's the second part of, when you say I know, it means that you have nothing to learn. So I appreciate you reminding us of that, and also practicing that. I will say that's a big reason why you're here, because I wanted to ask questions because I don't know, and I hope to infuse that in the people who are listening and watching, and saying, take the risk of saying that of like being open to saying, I don't know, and can I ask you a question?
Yes. Yes.
And
Don't be afraid to ask these things.
I also feel like on the other side, we also need to show others that it's safe to ask.
Yes. Leading by example, because it's already hard enough to ask. Yeah. And just making it easier to ask.
Yeah, being approachable and saying, just me asking you, inviting you, would you like to be a guest? Like, is that, how do you feel about that? I have questions about certain ceremony, and I felt that. I felt like I want to make sure that I'm not, that I am being respectful in asking. But did I feel some unsure? Absolutely. So, yeah, I'm trying to practice feeling like allowing myself to ask, but also being on the other side, communicating to others that it's okay to ask me questions too.
Yeah, I find that very difficult to communicate, being easy to ask, because of my deep voice, I always feel like I come across very intimidating.
Oh, okay.
I get that a lot just because from teaching kids.
Right.
They're always real. As soon as I start talking, they're just, he's such a deep voice.
Right, like there's like authority. It's yeah.
And I don't mean to like come across like that.
Yeah, fair. I mean, it's fair enough.
It's also just because I know that about myself.
Yeah.
I also take that into account when people approach me. So I always try and
right, yeah,
invite them. Even with kids, it's always good to go to their level.
Right. I think that's important.
Be that person that people can ask.
Yeah.
It's very important. Like, I understand that having knowledge and not sharing it means you shared nothing. But if you have knowledge and you want to share, having a little knowledge and sharing it as much as you can means you shared everything that you had.
Well, I hope that I love that where you landed on that, because I do hope that message, kind of resonates throughout society, because I think that's what creates a lot of disconnect and conflict. There's the people that have, they're not. It's like a closed fist, and then there's people that are afraid to ask because we don't feel like we have the permission to. So
yeah, because of that fist, and it's so,
yeah,
it's very intimidating. Yeah. Why are you gonna go ask the guy with the raising fist around?
Yeah. And so I thank you for the message. Thank you for making me feel comfortable in asking. And thank you so much for your time. I would love to spend we'll do more episodes with you in the future if you're willing to come out and chat. And I would like to, speaking of language and speaking of teaching, you did teach me the meaning of the word siiskas. And can you please, for our audience, share the meaning of that in English?
So siiskas simply means that you did a good thing for me. And yeah, that's all it means. It just means that you did a very good thing for me.
And I appreciate you teaching me that. So, siiskas.
Siiskas.
Okay. Signing off.